Online game, I possess a monster merging simulator. Chapter 111, Wanted across the server. Damn, what's going on? Unparalleled Domination roared angrily. In order to create the hype, he had joined forces with the guild to spend nearly $100 million on global advertising. He even spent tens of thousands of gold coins to hire countless players and NPCs, all for the sake of taking down the boss in one go and completing the magnificent feat of the entire server. All the players in the world would realize the power of the World Destruction Guild and the Domination Guild. But who would have thought? At this last moment, their boss monster had been intercepted. They had clearly checked on the boss's situation around 8 in the morning and had even sent hundreds of people to guard the entrance. If a large number of people appeared here, they would definitely be discovered immediately. This situation was too strange. The boss had disappeared for no reason. How could he not be furious? This was a global live broadcast. Not killing the boss was only a part of the loss. The true loss was for all the players in the world to see this scene. From today onwards, this would be a stain that their Domination Guild would never be able to cleanse. It must have happened during the chaos at noon. Some players realized something. Yes. It must be. At that time, hundreds of monsters rushed at us. Moreover, someone saw a light flash into the cave. We thought that we were seeing things, but now it seems that someone must have entered the cave at that time and snatched our kill. At noon. Unparalleled Domination's expression darkened. He did not believe this conclusion. The Undead Bone Dragon is a level 30 special boss with attributes comparable to a silver boss. We only had the confidence to kill it after gathering 10,000 elites. How could anyone beat us to it? That's possible. Crossfire walked out. Look at the top and on the ground. There are traces of fighting. Not long ago, someone definitely fought an intense battle with the boss here. Who do you think it is? Everyone was curious. Who could have accomplished such a magnificent feat alone? Tyrant. Crossfire gritted his teeth and said, at this stage, if anyone can do this, it must be Tyrant. Only he can do this. When this guess was said, everyone was incomparably shocked. As Crossfire had said, in the current game, if anyone could do this, it would be Tyrant, because he had the only divine equipment in the entire server. At this moment, the popularity of the livestream actually rose to an unprecedented level. The players wanted to see tens of thousands of people fighting the boss. However, the current situation was more shocking than the crusade. How can a boss that only 10,000 elite players can defeat be killed by a single player? Are the attributes of the divine equipment really so powerful? Iron Skull City is indeed stronger than other cities. He must have cheated. Otherwise, he would not have been able to do such a thing. Perhaps everyone does not know how terrifying this boss is, but according to my understanding, this boss has an attack limit of 2,700 points. How can one person defeat such a terrifying boss? God knows how far ahead Tyrant is. In the live stream, players from all over the world spoke. They were especially curious about Lorne's strength. Unfortunately, they would never know the extent of Lorne's power. Swish! 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 On a hill, Lorne led his pets through a barrage of attacks, quickly clearing the monsters in the forest. With the help of the long-tongued bat, Lorne accurately found a large group of monsters each time and turned them into rich experience points. At dawn, Lorne still did not feel tired. Perhaps because of his new skill and such efficient farming, he was very excited. In addition, because of the lack of time, he did not choose to rest but continued killing monsters. After clearing this mountain port, he continued forward and entered a valley. He immediately discovered a group of hideous wolves. -485. -1650. Critical. -477. -491. It could be seen that when facing high-level monsters, only by dealing a critical hit could the damage be high. Fortunately, the EXP was obtained quickly enough, and Aisha's level was also rising rapidly. By the time it was an hour past midnight, Lorne poured all the experience he had just gained into Aisha, and immediately, a golden light slanted down. Ding! Congratulations on leveling your pet Aisha to level 10. Due to reaching level 10, she has unlocked the talent skill Phantom Combo. Phantom Combo. Effect: does 3 to 7 basic attacks to a single target instantly. After killing a target, 30% of the cooldown time will be reduced. Cooldown: 15 seconds. So powerful. 3 to 7 consecutive basic attacks instantly was too powerful. Aisha's attack limit was as high as 3,600 points. Once she unleashed 7 basic attacks, it would deal more than 20,000 damage. Other than the boss, no other monster could withstand such a ferocious attack. Not only that, after killing a target, this skill's cooldown would reduce by 30%, which was a huge boost for Aisha, who was already a main damage dealer. Looking at the additional powerful skill in front of him, Lorne could not wait to see Aisha's performance on the battlefield. At that moment, a grand voice sounded. Full server wanted list. Due to Tyrant stealing our guild's boss, our World Destruction Guild has joined forces with the Domination Guild to solemnly declare that as long as you kill Tyrant once, you can obtain a reward of $1 million. Any player who provides Tyrant's real-time location can also use the coordinates of Tyrant to come and receive the corresponding reward, limited to the first 3 informants. Moreover, if any player gets Tyrant's Angel's Wings equipment, our World Destruction Guild is willing to pay $150 million Alliance dollars to purchase it, and we can give you the minimum position of commander in our guild. Full server wanted list. Full server wanted list. Chapter 112, Toward the Lake of Death. Blood Shadow City. At the Netherworld Guild headquarters, the guild leader Nether River was communicating with the NPCs of the dark forces in the city. When he came out, a group of players rushed over. A lackey shouted, "Boss, something bad happened. Someone beat us to it just now." "Who did this?" "I heard that it was Tyrant, and he stole the boss under the eyes of 10,000 people alone." "Tyrant?" Nether River paused for a moment, stealing a level 30 special boss in front of 10,000 people? He's actually this strong. What's their reaction? The Netherworld Guild and the Domination Guild had a very close relationship. Most of the hunting missions targeting the players were basically provided by the Domination Guild. It would definitely be the same this time. They're about to go crazy from anger. There's a worldwide reward for hunting Tyrant. "Boss, look. This is the announcement that Unparalleled Domination made just now. 150 million. Nether River smiled. If they really got the divine equipment on Tyrant, who would want this mere 150 million? If he could obtain such a divine tool, coupled with his excellent combat skills, no one in the world would be his match. "Boss, to see Lady Doris, not only do we need a high reputation in the dark faction, but we also need the proof of a special mission. That brat Tyrant has such a huge presence in front of the Church of Light. It must be related to the Dragon of Light. If we can capture him, we will definitely be able to see Lady Doris. If we can obtain some rewards, that would be awesome." The lackey was so excited that he was about to drool. "Yes, we have to contact Lady Doris as soon as possible. Only then can we increase our advantage." Nether River nodded and said, "In that case, we'll invade the ruins of the war and hunt Tyrant while killing the players of the Light faction. However, the mission of Blood Shadow City has not been completed yet. We can't mobilize all of them for the time being. Go and ally with the other rogue players and guilds of the Dark faction. Get them to mobilize immediately and start attacking the enemy players in the ruins of the war to wipe them out. As for our Netherworld Guild, let Bloodlust lead the team. With him around, the players of the Light faction will definitely not be able to escape." Nether River did not take action personally. However, the Netherworld Guild still sent a powerful combat team to cooperate with the other players in the Blood Shadow City to launch a terrifying attack on the Light faction players in the ruins of the war. As for Tyrant, his solo combat ability was indeed very powerful. However, in the face of thousands of people, individual strength was meaningless. Therefore, it was best if he prayed that they did not encounter him. Otherwise, they would definitely plunder all the equipment on him, especially that divine equipment. They could not let it go. When he saw the reward announcement, Lorne was speechless. It had to be said that unparalleled domination was really cunning. Lorne knew very well that the Domination Guild would pay a huge price to target him. Therefore, with a reward of 1 million, he mobilized the players in the entire server to cause trouble for Lorne. Even if it could not cause a substantial blow to Lorne, it could still make his life in the game very uncomfortable, because at any time or place, there might be players who wanted to earn 1 million from bounties. At this moment, someone sent a private message. "Leader, these bastards are too shameless. Let's set up a reward too. I'll pay to kill that bastard until he ends up in the beginner village." Super Rich was furious. "There's no need. Just treat it as a dog barking. But if they keep doing this, leader, you'll definitely encounter a lot of trouble." "Trouble?" Lorne smiled. "How troublesome can it be? If 1 arrow can't kill them, 2 will do. If they can survive, I'll admit that their armor is tight." That's true." Super Rich was very confident in Tyrant's strength. After a moment of silence, he asked, "By the way, leader, do you have a girlfriend?" "Girlfriend?" How could he ask about such a thing? "Don't be ridiculous." "I do." He was decisive in answering. "I see." Super Rich said regretfully, "Do you mind changing to another one?" Was this how rich people lived? What do you want to know?" "Nothing. There's just a girl who's very suitable for you, boss. Why don't you meet her in the game first?" Super Rich asked carefully. "There's no need. I don't have such considerations for the time being." Lorne rejected him decisively. He was in no mood to date now. To be precise, he did not believe anyone on the internet, especially in a situation where his identity was so sensitive. No matter who it was, they could not dream of obtaining his real identity. If it was leaked, his safety would no longer be guaranteed. After all, his current value was not something ordinary people could imagine. With his current strength, he could completely help a corporation quickly occupy the virtual world market of Divine Realm. This was a huge market like in the real world. If those financial groups knew his true identity, they would definitely send people to assassinate him in reality after failing to rope him in. This had happened before. In a previous game, there was a huge conflict between 2 large guilds. Later, it became more and more intense. When one of the guilds investigated the accurate location of the higher UPS of the enemy guild, they immediately sent assassins to kill all the higher UPS of the enemy guild in real life. He had to avoid such a dangerous thing. The best way to avoid this was to reduce the number of friends. He ended his conversation with Super Rich. Lorne wandered through the forest. Although Aisha's level had increased, she was still unable to harm the monsters in this area. Therefore, the farming of experience points was still limited. In addition, after level 10, the EXP that Aisha needed immediately increased tremendously. Just reaching level 11 required 380,000 experience points. If he only farmed monsters like this, it might take several days to reach Lorne's expectations. Looks like I can only head towards the Lake of Death first. Lorne did not have that much time. He had to leave now. Only then would he have enough time to find his mission target in the area. Chapter 113, Fire of Death, plus Dragon Bone Fragment, equals Doomsday Forest. Lorne opened the map and headed for the Lake of Death. When he used the vine to cross a rapid river and arrived at a forest filled with bulls, a special situation occurred. Demonized Bull. Level, 35. Health. Skill, Collision, Bull's Charge. Introduction. The bulls living in the Doomsday Forest have become extremely violent because of the invasion of the Dark Power. Please do not approach. It could be seen that the monsters here had reached level 35. This was not good news. The level suppression effect of Divine Realm was calculated by the difference in levels. When the difference between the two sides reached 15 levels, the level suppression effect would reach 60%. In other words, Lorne's damage output would only be 40% effective. Swish. 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 Small artillery drew its bow and fired arrows. -123. -131. -125. -137. Damage that barely broke through their defense appeared. At this speed, it was too difficult to farm monsters in this area. Lorne felt melancholy, but also helpless. In his pet space, Aisha was only level 11. Therefore, under the influence of the bond between summoner and pet, Lorne could not allow other pets to level up. Therefore, this was not the best time to attack. Lorne should come after leveling up, but there was no choice now. It was all because of the limited time available. Now, Lorne had only completed 2/5 of the Dragon Soul in the mission. He could only hope to obtain the remaining 3 Dragon Souls near the Lake of Death. Fortunately, the level suppression did not affect agility. Under the high speed of small artillery, the demonized bull did not counterattack effectively. Half a minute later. Crack! The level 35 demonized bull finally fell to the ground. The loot splattered on the ground. At the same time, it gave Lorne 373 experience points, 73 bronze coins, and a white iron equipment. Too slow. Lorne was not satisfied with this efficiency. With small artillery's damage output, it actually took nearly half a minute to finish this monster. Compared to before, this speed was really too slow. If it was in the barbarian forest, killing monsters around level 20 might take a few seconds to end the battle. But now, it would take half an hour. If he really followed this speed, he did not know how long it would take for Aisha to raise her level. With that in mind, Lorne had to look at his bag. To be precise, it was the materials inside. Lorne had obtained a lot of rare materials from the Dragon Soul. These materials could allow the 2 pets to evolve even stronger. Looks like I can't be stingy now. Lorne took out the dragon bone fragment from his bag. This material should be the most suitable to fuse with the undead archer. As for the other materials, Lorne felt that he should save them. This time, he had to use the dragon skeleton fragment because of the situation. Under normal circumstances, he would not be willing to merge this material with a silver monster. After all, it was a legendary material. But he could not think too much about it now. In order to complete this mission, he had to do this. With that in mind, Lorne did not hesitate. He directly activated his talent skill. The next second, the synthesis formula appeared. Without thinking, Lorne placed the small artillery inside. Compared to Venom, small artillery's attributes were stronger, and the damage output would increase significantly. After doing this, Lorne also put the dragon bone fragment in. Ding! A prototype material and a body part material have been confirmed. The synthesis formula is, Fire of Death, plus, Dragon Bone Fragment, equals. The cost is 5 gold coins. Would you like to merge? 5 gold coins? Previously, when he created the Rimuru, the cost was also 5 gold coins. The higher the cost, the stronger the product. Didn't that mean that the monster created this time might be a boss-level creature? Thinking of this, Lorne's eyes lit up. Boss monsters and non-boss creatures were on completely different levels. Perhaps the attack power of an ordinary boss was not much different from that of a silver monster. However, the health points of the two were completely different. The boss health points were most likely 10 times that of ordinary monsters. For example, Small Artillery was a silver monster and had reached level 20. Its health was only 12,600. As a bronze boss, Rimuru's health points exceeded 175,000 even if it was only level 10. If the latter was level 20, its health would exceed 300,000. The difference between the two was nearly 24 times. Very good. Now, let's witness a miracle. Lorne took a deep breath and chose the option. The next moment, a huge magic circle appeared. In the magic circle, the dragon skeleton fragments turned into powerful energy and poured into the body of Small Artillery. Roar! 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 There was a faint dragon roar at the scene. Lorne immediately focused on the light ahead. The light became more and more blinding, and even the color was dyed pale gold. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining a gold monster, Dragon Bone Fire. As soon as he finished speaking, the light at the scene gradually dissipated. At this moment, what appeared before Lorne was an undead in a black cloak, black flames burning on its body. This image did not change much from before. The only difference was the luster on the bones. The original Small Artillery was a silver monster, and its bones were only shimmering with a faint silver light. But now, there was a faint golden light on its body. Perhaps this was the characteristic of a gold monster. Its level has fallen to level 18. Lorne looked at the level of Small Artillery and found that it had dropped by 2 levels. This was because its quality had increased, so the experience points needed to level up had also increased. Therefore, the original experience points it had could not allow it to reach level 20. Fortunately, Lorne still had some experience points left. Without much thought, he first let Small Artillery reach level 20. Swish! Swish! 2 consecutive golden lights poured down. Small Artillery reached level 20 again. Lorne opened its attributes panel again and saw the powerful attributes of the first gold pet in the entire server. Chapter 114, Insane Level Up. Dragon Bone Fire, Small Artillery. Grade, Gold. Level, 20, 0/209,600. HP, 24,000. Physical Attack, 1800 to 2460. Defense, 780. Superiority, 90%. Skills, Rapid Fire, Fire of Death, Rain of Arrows, Fire of Death, Frenzied Shooting. Introduction, an undead awakened by the evil power. Due to the enhancement of the dragon's power, it has become an even more terrifying Dragon Bone Fire. These were Small Artillery's current attributes. After successfully evolving, all the attributes of Small Artillery had been greatly improved. First of all, its health points went from 12,600 to 24,000. It had almost doubled. The upper limit of its attack power also increased from 1,560 points to 2,460 points. In total, it gained 900 attack power. Other than that, the other attributes also increased to different degrees. The values were between 1.5 and 2 times of before. In addition, Small Artillery's skills also improved to a certain extent. The higher the skill level, the higher the damage output, naturally the higher the damage output. Time to continue farming monsters. I hope it's more efficient now. Lorne looked at the surrounding monsters. Because they had entered deep enough into the map, the monsters here seemed to be above level 35. This was a very worrying phenomenon. Although he could still clear level 35 monsters, once the monsters reached level 40, there was no way to continue playing. This was because when the difference between the two sides reached level 20, the lower level party could not cause any damage. That was what worried Lorne. He hoped it would not be so bad. While he was thinking, Small Artillery had already begun farming monsters. The golden hand drew its bow. In the next second, black flames ignited on the arrow and shot out in an instant. -485. High damage broke through the defense. With this damage output, it could kill a level 35 monster in 10 seconds. After gradually becoming familiar with the distribution of monsters in this area, Lorne's efficiency in killing monsters increased greatly. He first let the long-tongued bat search for the monsters. Then, he let the other pets gather the monsters. In the end, small artillery dealt the damage. Small artillery had the piercing arrow skill, which was a terrifying AoE skill. 5 minutes later, small artillery's piercing arrow finally triggered another critical hit. The arrows fired by small artillery were like a fire dragon roaring. Cold and dark flames were like lasers that destroyed the world. When it penetrated an area, the ground along the way was burned by the flames of the undead. -5400. Critical. -5380, critical. -5420. Critical. -5500. Critical. -5270, critical. Countless terrifying damage values flew in front of him. Due to the critical strike effect triggered, the amplification of piercing arrow and the critical strike amplification worked together. Coupled with the fact that small artillery had the highest attack power of 2460 points, this arrow dealt incomparably terrifying critical damage. Roar! All the bulls in the surrounding 40 yards fell. Such a terrifying output was not something they could withstand. Small artillery held its bow and continued to lead them around. When the cooldown of piercing arrow ended, it would draw its bow and deal a fatal blow to the demonized bulls. 3 minutes later, there were dozens of corpses on the ground. Lorne stepped forward to clean up the battlefield. It had to be said that the critical strike chance of the Divine Realm was really low. In Divine Realm, if one did not have a critical hit chance, they would basically fail to trigger any critical hit damage, and it would never happen. Fortunately, because small artillery had the frenzied shooting skill, it had a 10% critical strike chance. Therefore, Lorne often saw critical damage appear. Once the piercing arrow triggered the critical hit, the scene would be spectacular. One skill could kill more than a dozen monsters. For example, dozens of monsters in front of him died from such a skill. Lorne touched dozens of corpses and obtained dozens of silver coins, as well as a large pile of bull horns and fur. As for the equipment, the probability of ordinary monsters dropping equipment was very low. This was no exception at the event. Lorne did not care. What he needed the most now was experience points. A level 35 monster gave 115 experience points. As a summoner, the 5 pets gave him 225% additional experience points. It was 373 points. It was because of this that Lorne had obtained 15,000 experience points. At this rate, it did not seem to be as difficult to level up as he imagined. Thinking of this, Lorne was filled with confidence. He began to sweep through the area. None of the monsters could escape his claws. More than 2 hours later, Lorne led the way out of the area. He had killed most of the demonized bulls here. He hunted nearly 650 demonized bulls in total and gained 300,000 experience points, as well as a large amount of materials and bronze coins. Aisha's level barely reached 12. According to the current leveling speed, he could raise Aisha's level to 20 before the end of the next day. It was about the expected time. Not long after Lorne left, several players exploring the map arrived at this area. In the end, they discovered that there was burning ground everywhere, but they did not encounter a single demonized bull. This was too strange. After all, there were monsters everywhere. Why was there nothing on this hill? Gosh, something strange happened. This looks like a mark left behind after the battle. That shouldn't be wrong. Look, this burnt area is slowly recovering. The players looked over. The ground was recovering, and the burning marks quickly faded. Seeing this scene, All the players present widened their eyes. As players, they knew very well that such a situation definitely meant that other players were killing monsters to level up. My goodness! This was a level 35 monster zone. How could someone level up here? Chapter 115, Death Worm. At the edge of the Doomsday Forest, in a very dark cave, Lorne was leading his pets to shoot crazily at a group of disgusting maggots. This was close to the Lake of Death and was a relatively central location. Logically speaking, the monsters here should be very terrifying. But strangely, Lorne had discovered a group of level 25 monsters here. The monsters were highly demonized, so their attributes were extremely terrifying. But in Lorne's eyes, such increased attributes were not a problem. Even if the monsters had double attributes, he was willing to stay here forever. Compared to the level suppression, the double attributes of a level 25 monster were much milder. Unfortunately, this is only a cave. Lorne sighed helplessly as he followed behind his pet. The monsters in this place were very suitable for him. But the place was too small. A cave could not contain too many monsters even if it was deep enough. What Lorne wanted was a few million experience points. Such a small place could not provide him with his needs. Lorne sighed. Then, he followed his pet deeper into the cave. While killing the monsters, he also noticed the various information in the chat. It could be seen that at this moment, most of the elite players had already entered. They swept through the Doomsday Forest crazily. During this period, many accidents occurred in the game. Many players from large guilds encountered one another. Many of them fought over the corpse of a warrior. There were also some solo players who were bullied by the guild players and cursed in the chat. How leisurely! Looking at their cursing, Lorne could not help but laugh. There was no need to do this. The map of the ruins of the war was so large, why did they have to fight for the resources in that area? In fact, if they moved to the side, they could still find the skeletons of the Iron Skull City's warriors. There was no need for conflict. One had to know that it took 3 days to reach here from the main city. -1683. -1679. -1691. -4200, critical. -1667. In the depths of the cave, small artillery drew its bow crazily, and countless arrows shot from its hands. It could be seen that the damage values were very high. Without the effect of level suppression, small artillery's damage output was immediately revealed. Under such terrifying damage, the sticky worms were all nailed to the ground. Their corpses writhed, looking disgusting. At that moment, Lorne saw a pile of rotting bones in the corner. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining Warrior Skeleton X1. Warrior Skeleton. Type: Mission Item. Description: please bring this item back to the Church of Light. You will obtain a high amount of reputation points because of this. Was this also a mission item? Collecting the corpses of the warriors was an event mission. As an adventurer of Iron Skull City, Lorne naturally received this mission. He would not miss an event like this where he could obtain reputation points by collecting warrior skeletons. Therefore, before coming to this place, Lorne had actually been searching for the warrior skeletons. After all, he had to search for the dragon skeletons anyway. In that case, he could also complete the event mission. Most of the skeletons he had found were relatively intact. This was the first time he had encountered such scattered skeleton fragments. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining Warrior Skeleton Knight X1. Congratulations on obtaining Warrior Skeleton Viscount X1. As he put the skeletons into his bag, Lorne received many notifications. It could be seen that these corpses were also of quality. Their previous titles would allow their corpses to bring greater benefits to Lorne. Lorne did not leave a single one behind as he stored them all in the dragon's treasure vault. He wondered if it was because of the special nature of the cave. The skeletons here were of very high quality, most of them having their own titles. There were even skeletons of marquises inside. There were very few marquis corpses among the corpses of the expeditionary army soldiers. At the very least, Lorne had not encountered any in the forest. If only I could keep farming forever. Lorne was liking this place more and more. Unfortunately, half an hour later, he reached the end of the cave. This was a huge karst cave with some smaller tunnels around it. Like the sewers of the city, it connected the passageways of all the tunnels. Lorne did not enter immediately. At this moment, he was attracted by the layout of the cave. It could be seen that in this cave, the walls in all directions were embedded with glowing crystals. On the ground, there was a special magic circle working. The magic circle was made of black rocks with strange runes engraved on them. Wisps of energy poured down from above. It was a floating black crystal. At this moment, black energy was spreading through the magic circle. Lorne checked the reaction of the dragon's compass and found nothing amiss. In other words, there were no dragon souls or dragon skeletons here. Without a dragon soul, they still created such a complicated magic circle. There must be a scheme. Lorne did not know what the other party's true intentions were, but he knew that as long as the magic circle was destroyed, it would be considered a contribution to peace. Therefore, he controlled small artillery to draw its bow. A flaming arrow shot out and accurately struck the dark gem above. But surprisingly, the flames on the arrow were absorbed. As he wondered, suddenly, from the surrounding small caves, more than a dozen death worms rushed out. Death worm. Quality, Elite. Level, 25. HP, 6500/6500. Skill, Death Poison, Self-Destruction. Introduction, the rotten lich's favorite pet. Be careful. Where such creatures appear, there is usually a rotten lich nearby. Rotten lich. Lorne did not have a good impression of such a boss. Liches liked to summon their minions. Killing them was too wasteful of his time. As for the worms in front of him, unlike the previous monsters, the death worms in front of him were elite monsters. The attributes were very powerful, especially with the additional skill self-destruction. At the last moment after killing the death worm, the monster would self-destruct, pouring out the poison in its body in an instant, dealing fatal damage to the surrounding enemies. Coupled with the small space in the cave, dealing with these monsters was indeed not easy. However, Lorne did not have such worries and attacked directly. Chapter 116, Death Creature Summoning Array. The two archers used their skills at the same time. Instantly, countless arrows covered the area in front of them. -1455. -1453. -1453. -817. -801. -823. These monsters were only level 25, so venom dealt very high damage. Under the baptism of such skills, the death worms in front of them lost a third of their health. Before the monster could get close, small artillery used another AoE skill. Piercing Arrow. After accumulating power for 3 seconds, the damage was doubled. This skill dealt more than 3,000 points of damage. With this wave of attacks, most of the monsters were already low in health. Then, they began to harvest the monsters crazily. Under the high attack speed, countless arrows shot out. The monsters also fell to the ground. These level 25 elite monsters were not even as threatening as level 30 ordinary monsters in front of Lorne. Other than spending more time killing monsters, Lorne did not feel any other difficulty. Strange. After he killed all the monsters in the field, Lorne could not help but frown. This was because new monsters came out of the small caves. This wave of monsters was the same as the previous ones. They were all death worms. There were a total of 30 of them. However, such a group of monsters did not put much pressure on Lorne. On the contrary, Lorne was very excited. This was because the small monsters produced here were different from the ones summoned by the Lich. The Lich's summoned monsters gave no experience. As for the death worms, they provided him with decent experience points. As long as he killed a death worm, Lorne would obtain 300 experience points. If he could farm monsters here forever, he could even raise Aisha's level to level 20 here. This was the best outcome, but Lorne was more concerned that it was only an illusion. Ding! You have killed the death worms X5. You have killed the death worms X7. You have killed death worms X13. You have killed the death worms X8. Just like this, in the dark cave, Lorne's pets fought for over an hour. Finally, they put away their bow. There were no longer any monsters in the cave. Sigh. Lorne sighed to himself. To him, this was a rare monster farming spot. One could not even guess how much he had gained during this period of time. In addition to obtaining countless equipment and other loot, Lorne also obtained an astonishing 270,000 experience points. This was only what he had obtained in an hour. According to the number of kills, 270,000 experience points was equivalent to killing 900 monsters. On average, he had to kill 15 monsters per minute. This was unimaginable in the wilderness. Unfortunately, the monsters in this place were limited, and it was not infinite. Just 900 monsters was not a huge number to Lorne. The 270,000 experience points he had just obtained could not even allow Aisha to level up once. Is it related to this magic circle? Lorne arrived before the magic circle. When he was farming previously, he had discovered that the magic circle would flash once before each wave of monsters appeared. Therefore, if nothing unexpected happened, there had to be a key connection between the two. Lorne even believed that the magic circle was the key to producing the monsters. Thinking of this, he used identification on the magic circle. Death Creature Summoning Array. Quality. Status, out of energy. Energy, 30/1000. Effect, Magic Circle can be activated by consuming energy to summon the death worms from the Sea of Death. It's as I thought. Lorne's eyes lit up. From the interface, it could be seen that this magic circle was indeed the key to summoning the monsters. However, the summoning array was already out of energy. Without it, the magic circle could not continue summoning monsters. This made him very depressed. After all, to Lorne, who urgently needed experience points, this was a dream location. According to the rate of 900 monsters per hour, he only needed 1 day to raise Aisha's level to 20. But now that there was no energy for summoning, the hope he had seen might immediately be destroyed. He hoped that he would not be so unlucky. With a sigh, Lorne carefully checked the information regarding the magic circle. When he opened a hidden panel, his eyes suddenly lit up. Warrior Corpse. The energy needed was actually the warrior corpse. Lorne's eyes widened at the information. He was sure that he was not seeing things. On this panel, it did say that as long as enough undead power was injected, the magic circle would be activated again. In the ruins of the war, the undead power was the most concentrated energy element in the entire map. As for why the warrior corpses could be used as energy sources, this was because the corpses of the dead soldiers were the best carriers of the undead power. After many years of accumulation, these corpses condensed extremely rich undead power. No wonder we found so many corpses of warriors in the tunnel when we entered the cave. This is the reason. As for the huge swarm of death worms earlier, they should be pets summoned by the rotten Lich. Lorne understood everything. At the same time, he felt extremely excited. Now, he was certain that the warrior corpses was indeed the main energy source for activating the magic circle. If that was the case, then everything was much simpler. The warrior corpses happened to be the main target of this event, and there were many being traded in the market. In other words, as long as he was willing to spend money, he could obtain enough energy. With enough energy, it was equivalent to having infinite monsters. With enough monsters, it was equivalent to having endless experience points. If he could really make this magic circle work continuously, then Lorne was definitely confident that he could raise Aisha's level to 20 in one day. I wonder how many times I can summon monsters with one warrior corpse. There were not many of such materials in Lorne's bag, only about 100. These corpses did not seem to satisfy his needs. He estimated that a corpse would at most summon one monster. As he thought, Lorne threw a corpse under the black crystal. Chapter 117, Acquiring Corpses. The corpse turned into a stream of black energy that entered the crystal. It was the same as the arrow from small artillery. As undead power, the method of absorption was no different. Lorne stepped back. At this moment, the magic circle that had obtained energy activated again. Under the black light, a death worm walked out of the small cave. There really is just one. After killing the monster, Lorne checked the panel of the summoning magic circle again. He found no change in energy reserve. This was good news. If he was not mistaken, every point of energy was equivalent to 30 monsters. 1 point is equivalent to 30 monsters. 1,000 points of energy should be equivalent to 30,000 monsters. 1 monster is equivalent to 300 experience points. 30,000 monsters are equivalent to 9 million experience points. That's a lot. According to Lorne's calculations, this experience could allow Aisha to reach level 20. He also let the levels of Rimuru and Long-Tongued Bat catch up. With that in mind, Lorne threw in another higher-level corpse. Soon, he obtained more important information. That was, corpses with noble titles could provide more energy. The energy of a knight was 10 times that of an ordinary corpse, but the energy of a baron was 50 times that of an ordinary corpse. As for the higher-ranked marquis, the energy produced was 5,000 times that of ordinary corpses. Lorne happened to have a marquis's corpse on him that could be used to summon worms for a long time. After checking the resources, Lorne opened the chat channel of the Ruins of the War and made an announcement. Buying 50,000 warrior corpses at 1.2 times the market price. The minimum is 1,000 corpses in each transaction. Whoever has the goods can message me. Buying warrior corpses. Buying warrior corpses. Lorne made many announcements at once. After all, it was a huge business worth a few $1,000,000. He had to make people trust him. As for why he wanted 50,000? This was to prepare for the other summoning magic circles in the future. Even if he did not find other magic circles in the future, Lorne could use these corpses to exchange for some reputation points. In short, he would not lose out. At the same time, the entire chat channel of the Ruins of the War became lively. Gosh! It's Tyrant! Even Tyrant is buying corpses. This God tier player is indeed God tier. He actually has a requirement when purchasing the corpses. The minimum is 1,000 corpses per deal. This is too sick. 1,000 corpses is worth 20,000 according to the market price. If only I had so many. Brothers, we can share. Everyone, save up the corpses and sell them together. Then, we can split the profits. Count me in. I have 32. Count me in. I have 55. In a valley of the Doomsday Forest, Twinkle Rose and the others were crazily looting. Because they had bought a lot of equipment from Tyrant, the number of level 20 players was much higher than that of other large guilds. Therefore, their harvest was even greater. Twinkle Rose held her beautiful face and smiled at the warrior corpses in her bag. There was indeed strength in numbers. In just a few days, there were already more than 100,000 corpses. When she returned to Iron Skull City in the future, these corpses would increase the reputation of the guild's elites by a lot. Thinking of this, Twinkle Rose could not stop smiling. At this moment, she saw a notification crazily flashing on the chat channel of the Ruins of the War. Acquiring the warrior corpses. Without thinking, Twinkle Rose opened her friend list and contacted Tyrant. Originally, she wanted to distribute all these corpses to the guild elites, but when she saw Lorne's words, she immediately thought of selling them to him. "Brother Tyrant, is it urgent? I can sell it to you at the market price." Twinkle Rose sent a message. "No need, I'm almost done." Lorne rejected it, but then asked, "You should have many people in Iron Skull City, right?" "Yes, why? Can I help you?" "No." Looking at the reply, Twinkle Rose sent a series of ellipses, representing her speechlessness. Then, she gritted her teeth and sent another message, "Good brother, do you have a business to take care of me? You know that the Sisters of the Silver Snow Guild don't have money to buy bags anymore. You have to help us." Seeing the message, the corners of Lorne's mouth curled up. "Since you have made this request, I'll be generous and help you. Get someone to go to the Alchemist Association and use my name to transport the produced antidote to the Expeditionary Army camp. Then, hand it to Super Rich for sale. After completing the mission, I'll give each of you a gold coin per day. Do you want to do it?" Even though the gold coins had depreciated, they were still worth $3,000. It required 3 days. In other words, the total employment fee was close to $10,000. Such an errand mission was simply too worth it. "No problem." Twinkle Rose's eyes lit up, and she continued, "However, I have a small request. Can you hand the potion to us for sale? We will only accept 5% of the reward." "How about it?" "Impossible, you're too naive. If you sell the potions for 3 silver coins, I won't be able to recover the cost." Lorne rejected her decisively. Although this big busted sister would definitely not sell it in the same way as before with the experience from last time, even if she suddenly realized something, her understanding of sales could not compare to Super Rich. Pfft. On the other side, Twinkle Rose had the urge to vomit blood. The selling of potions for 3 silver coins was her greatest sore spot in the past few days. This guy still wanted to use it to mock her. Why was there such a detestable guy? "I accept your employment. Remember to contact the Alchemist Association." "Yes." In the end, the two reached a deal. Twinkle Rose definitely had no reason to refuse. After all, her guild members would automatically head to the ruins of the war after reaching level 20. It would be the same even without the employment fees. Chapter 118, Massacre. Swish. 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 As he commanded Rimuru to attract the monsters, he relied on the powerful output of small artillery to kill all the death worms. In 2 minutes, another wave of the death worms had turned into corpses. After a period of hunting, Lorne discovered more rules. Most importantly, it was the level of the monster. When using a high noble corpse to summon, the death worm summoned would experience an increase in level. Fortunately, even if its level increased, it would not exceed level 30. Therefore, this did not affect the rhythm of the battle. At most, it only made Lorne spend more time on each wave of monsters. These high-level death worms have very strong resistance. My attacks can't break through their defense. On the battlefield, Aisha, who had been fighting hard, lowered her head and returned to Lorne. It was not that she did not want to fight. On the contrary, she had been working hard recently. However, even she could not avoid the effects of the level suppression. After all, Aisha was only level 13 now. If it was only a level 25 monster, she could still deal with it easily. However, once the monster's level exceeded 28, the situation would be terrible. Aisha's damage output would be severely affected. At the same time, there were greater risks. This was because level suppression not only gave monsters immunity to damage, but also increased their damage against his pets. Facing the monster's self-destruction, it was a huge test for Aisha. After only being hit by a few explosions, Aisha's health decreased to less than half. According to Lorne's request, she needed to leave the battlefield at this moment and only continue fighting after she recovered her health. "Aisha, don't worry." Noticing Aisha's unhappy expression, Lorne comforted her, "You still need some experience to raise your level. At that time, you will definitely be able to easily avoid the self-destruction damage of the death worms." "Really, Master?" Aisha blinked her large misty eyes, looking abnormally pleasantly surprised. "I've been trying very hard to dodge, but I just can't avoid all the explosions. I thought my aptitude was too poor." Pfft! Lorne almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This elven princess with 3,600 attack power actually thought that her aptitude was too poor? If others heard these words, they would probably die of embarrassment. After all, they did not even have 500 attack points. In the blink of an eye, 5 hours passed. Several lights poured from Aisha's body. Ding! Congratulations to your pet Aisha for successfully reaching level 14. Congratulations to your pet Aisha for successfully reaching level 15. Congratulations to your pet Aisha for successfully reaching level 16. A series of notifications appeared. Aisha's level increased. Unfortunately, the attributes did not change much. Her attributes were derived from Lorne's attributes, so there was no evident changes to her now. However, as Lorne distributed attribute points, her skills improved tremendously. This was especially for the skill that increased movement speed. After leveling up many times, it obtained an even greater amplification effect. This acceleration effect could allow Aisha to easily avoid the self-destruction damage of the death worms. Of course, that was not the point. The most important thing now was that she had reached level 16. This was a very important level boundary. The highest level of the monsters in this cave would not exceed level 30. Therefore, they would no longer have a level suppression effect on Aisha that reduced damage by more than 60%. In this way, Aisha could truly display her combat strength. There was no hesitation at this moment. Aisha faced the monsters ahead. -1,693. -1,645. -6,000, critical. The dagger quickly slashed past, instantly killing a death worm. The corpse of the monster immediately began to swell. This was the prelude to self-destruction, and the surrounding enemies only had 1.5 seconds to dodge. Most melee players could not avoid the damage at this time. Even the previous Aisha could not do this sometimes. Once affected by the explosion, even if she did not die, she would lose at least a few thousand health points. But now, Aisha was not troubled by this. Moving at high speed, she could easily avoid the damage of the explosion. All of this came from the increase in damage output. When one could directly kill a monster, they could immediately leave the battlefield after launching an attack. There was no need for the same strategy as before, so Lorne naturally avoided situations where she could not dodge in time. -6,060, critical. -1,651. -6,100, critical. -1,669. -6,120, critical. -1,617. It could be seen that Aisha had completely become a Death Reaper walking in the darkness. Every time Aisha walked out of the darkness, her sharp blades would quickly draw 2 saber lights that killed the target in an instant. Moreover, the first slash always dealt critical damage. Skill, Phantom Massacre. For every target killed, the cooldown of the Traceless Phantom skill will be reset, and the next attack will be a critical hit. This was why Aisha was so powerful. Phantom Massacre made her an extremely powerful killing machine. No target could survive 2 seconds under her sharp blade. As it went on, the rest of the battle was even easier for Lorne. The monster that needed 2 minutes, or even 3 minutes, only needed 1 minute now. If not for the fact that the summoning circle had a cooldown time, Lorne's EXP gain would have been even more terrifying. 3 in the morning. 4 in the morning. 5 in the morning. Finally, Lorne could not hold on any more. Playing through the night was indeed not a skill that he could master. For the sake of his health, he should sleep for a while. Lorne prepared to go offline to rest. Before going offline, he looked at the state of the summoning circle. On this day, he had killed about 15,000 death worms. It seemed that he could kill all the monsters in this summoning circle before the end of the next day. Chapter 119, Everyone reached level 20. After going offline, Lorne was extremely tired. Although he was playing games in the virtual world, the mental exhaustion still made his body very tired. After washing up, he fell asleep. The next morning, Lorne went online again. He returned to the dark cave and began a new day of farming monsters. The maximum number of summoned creatures was 30,000, but it could summon up to 900 monsters per hour. If Lorne wanted to convert all the monsters into experience points, he had to spend 33 hours here, without stopping to rest. He had to kill monsters here with the greatest efficiency. He had been farming for about 17 hours yesterday. In other words, Lorne had to spend another day killing monsters here. This was different from what Lorne had planned. But that did not matter. As long as he had enough experience, a day's delay was completely acceptable. Lorne believed that he would definitely be able to find the remaining 3 dragon souls in the remaining 4 days. For the next day, other than eating and going to the washroom, Lorne spent all his time there. The long and boring time taken to kill monsters was really annoying. It was already uncomfortable to repeat the same trick for so long. Furthermore, Lorne was a summoner. He did not have to fight the entire battle himself. This made the days of standing by the side and paddling even more torturous. Fortunately, there were enough experience points. Lorne felt pain and joy at the same time. After all, the experience points he had obtained during this period of time could be calculated using an astronomical number. Even Aisha's level increased rapidly. When she first came to this place yesterday, she was only level 13. Now, she was level 20. 15,000 monsters provided 4.5 million experience points. Coupled with the experience points gained from farming monsters in the forest, he could raise Aisha's level to 20. Unfortunately, Aisha's attributes could not grow just by leveling up. In addition to the change in skill levels, the level 20 Aisha also awakened a skill. Skill, Phantom Combo Plus, rapidly hits the target 4 to 10 times. Each time, the damage is 120%. No critical hit can be triggered, but there can be additional amplification effects. This skill was definitely a killer move. 4 to 10 combo attacks with damage of 120%. Lorne had not seen such a scary skill before. Although there was no additional critical hit effect, this skill could be used at the same time with an amplification skill. This was a perfect match for the summoner class. This was because among the summoner's skills, there were those that specifically increased the damage output of pets, and the buffs were very strong. For example, the Class 2 skill Strength Gift. It could allow the pet's next attack to deal an additional 50% damage to the target. Think about it, if this skill combined with the Phantom Combo and dealt another 10 consecutive hits, the damage would definitely be sky high. Unfortunately, Lorne had not reached Class 2 yet. He could not learn this skill yet, and the shocking scene could not be seen for the time being. Ding! Congratulations! Your pet Rimuru has successfully reached level 18. Congratulations! Your pet Rimuru has successfully reached level 19. Congratulations! Your pet Rimuru has successfully reached level 20. Your pet Rimuru has awakened its skill Solidify. After that, the experience points obtained were all used to level up his pets. Lorne had to raise his pets to level 20 before he could raise his level. At this moment, Aisha had reached her requirement. Then, what he needed to raise now was naturally the Alchemy Slime King, Rimuru, that had not leveled up. The EXP needed was not that high, about a quarter of Aisha's. When Rimuru reached level 20, its attributes immediately doubled. The best was of course its health points. At this moment, it had already reached 300,000. This was an extremely terrifying amount of health. Even boss-level monsters in the wilderness would rarely have such a huge amount of health at this level. In addition, Rimuru had awakened a skill. Skill, Solidify. Effect, spits out mucus. When it hits the target, it will quickly solidify. Deals a 2-second immobilization effect on the target and deals 100% damage. Note, 1. It can sacrifice its health points to expand the size of the solidified mucus. Every 1000 health points can increase the volume of the solidified mucus by 100%. Note, 2. The size of the mucus will not affect the solidification effect. This was a restrictive skill that could confine the target. It could also become an AoE control skill. To the current team, the existence of such skills was necessary. After Rimuru, it was the long-tongued bat's turn. Swish! 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 Several rays of light fell, and the long-tongued bat's level increased. Ding! Congratulations! Your pet long-tongued bat has successfully reached level 20. Your pet long-tongued bat has awakened a skill Super Sound Wave. After reaching level 20, the long-tongued bat also awakened a skill. This was a detection skill. Skill, Super Sound Wave. Effect, unleash a powerful sound wave at high altitude. Through the signal, it can quickly detect the number and types of creatures in the target area. As a support pet, this skill clearly increased the value of the long-tongued bat to another level. With this skill, finding monsters would be more efficient. To Lorne, this skill was also more valuable than any damage type skill. After raising the pet's levels, Lorne's level limit was finally unlocked. He could raise his level to 30. However, he was not in a hurry. Lorne wanted to deal with the vast amount of experience points he had after killing all the monsters in the summoning circle. Using it together seemed to give him a greater sense of satisfaction. Of course, he was only doing that because the situation did not require him to level up immediately. Just like now, leveling up or not was not important because Aisha alone could control the entire battlefield, let alone other pets. Her damage output was completely off the roof. Soon, it was dawn. After more than 10 hours of hunting, the monsters in the summoning circle were finally wiped out. Chapter 120, Rotten Lich. Lorne sighed, I can finally raise my level to 30. Although he had been tired the entire day, the benefits were considerable. In just one day, he had obtained millions of experience points. If these experience points were handed to ordinary players, they could at least raise their levels to 50, or even higher. However, in the hands of Lorne, it would not even be enough for his pets to reach level 25. However, at this moment, an angry voice suddenly sounded in the cave. Who is it? How dare you destroy my summoning array? With a terrifying sound, the walls of the cave began to tremble, as if an earthquake was about to happen. The completely dried black magic circle on the ground cracked. A new magic circle leaked out from the cracked ground. Black fog spread out and gradually formed a black tornado. Ding! Game announcement, due to you destroying the undead creature's summoning circle, a hidden summoning circle has been triggered. The hidden boss Lemus has arrived here through the summoning circle. Please kill him as soon as possible. You will receive a generous reward. The sudden system notification shocked Lorne. After seeing the contents of the notification, his eyes immediately became excited. It was a hidden boss. Lorne had long known that there was a boss here, but he had not waited for it to descend. He did not expect it to arrive at this time. Rumble. When the magic circle was completely activated, a huge figure appeared in the cave. It was a huge rotting corpse. It was 3 meters tall and covered in rotting black flesh. It emitted an indescribable stench. When it appeared, it stared at Lorne with its unblinking eyes. Rotten Lich. Grade, Hidden Boss. Level, 30. HP. Magic Attack, 1600 to 2100. Physical Defense, 770. Magic Defense, 920. Skills, Bone Corrosion Claw, Undead Summoning, Rotten Body, Death Howl, Frenzied State. Introduction, a lich that retained its original body. It firmly believes that the body is the final appearance of the undead in the world. Therefore, it began to recover its flesh with death magic. In the end, due to insufficient magic power, its body became a disgusting rotting corpse. From the interface, it could be seen that this was another ruthless boss. Rotten Body allowed this boss to have extremely powerful damage reduction abilities. Coupled with the most classic summoning skill of the Lich and its powerful attributes, the boss' combat strength became abnormally powerful. Unfortunately, its attack limit of 2100 was not enough to make Lorne feel troubled. "Come out, my pets!" The furious Lich raised its two rotting arms and attacked in the air. Countless corpses appeared on the ground on both sides. They lunged at Lorne. "Rimuru, Aisha, I'll leave the boss to you. Small Artillery, Venom, you're responsible for clearing the monsters." Lorne stood calmly and gave the order. He did not move. After all, this was only a small boss that was even weaker than the Bone Dragon. Even if it was level 30, it could not harm him at all. Swish! 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 Minus 1083. Minus 1079. Minus 1091. Minus 3800. Critical. Minus 1067. Because the monsters were only level 30, their damage immunity was 40%. Fortunately, the summoned monsters did not have high health, so the situation was not reversed. After triggering the passive skill of the gold grade monster Small Artillery, it directly transformed into a super artillery, attacking the monsters in front crazily. Solidify. Rimuru spat out a huge ball of mucus, making the boss stand on the spot as punishment. As a bronze boss level pet, its skill's hit rate was very high. This was especially when the difference in level was not too great. At the same time, Aisha pulled out the dagger at her waist and quickly appeared behind the boss, the dagger in her hand spinning rapidly. Normal attack plus phantom backstab. Aisha completed the two attacks in an instant. To be able to complete this in less than a second, this was the technique of a high-level assassin. Minus 3600. Critical. Minus 4800. Critical. Two terrifying damage numbers floated. Due to the leveling up of Phantom Backstab, the skill increase went from the original 200% to 250% critical hit damage. Therefore, the second slash dealt 4800 points of damage. After completing this operation, the dagger in Aisha's hand glowed with a moon-white light. She quickly waved it and drew a net made of sword light in the air. Phantom Combo Plus. Aisha's recently awakened super skill was displayed at this moment. Seemingly due to the little beauty's luck, she directly triggered the highest 10x combo this time. Minus 1915. Minus 1915. Minus 1915. Minus 1915. Dash 1915. 10 high damage numbers danced in the air. Although there was no critical hit effect, she dealt nearly 20,000 damage. The boss retreated repeatedly as its health decreased by a large amount. Just as it was about to counterattack, it was shocked to discover that Aisha had disappeared. This was the skill of an assassin. When attacking the boss alone, they would immediately deal damage. Then, they would use an invisibility skill to pull away from the boss. This way, one could kill the boss without any injuries. Of course, to complete such an action, one needed powerful combat awareness and maneuverability. Otherwise, when the boss counterattacked, one might die from not dodging in time. Damn human brat, listen to the wails of death. After failing to find Aisha, the rotten Lich immediately targeted Lorne. An extremely terrifying wail sounded from his pitch-black throat. This was a mind control skill with the effect of causing confusion. "Are you trying to deafen me?" Lorne frowned. When the other party activated his skill, he waved the short staff in his hand, and an incomparably huge magic circle covered the entire cave.